celebrating 16 years of Young Turks.
Leaders, entrepreneurs and change makers all came under one roof with one agenda: lean in and help women get back in the game. For those who aren't familiar with Sheroes' efforts, it's an organization that pledges to take women back to the workforce by connecting them with the right economic opportunities. This year, Sheroes curated day-long events in 5 cities across India. First up, let's take you through all the action in the capital from the 5th edition of the Sheroes Summit, which puts the spotlight on best practices at work, diversity, the digital revolution, and how it's empowering women. If you've missed out on this event in person but wish to tap into the Sheroes network, don't fret, because Sari Chahal, founder and CEO of Sheroes, has a solution for you.
Sheroes has been building a lot of products, a lot of interesting products. Our latest is the new Sheroes app, which brings the entire ecosystem of support, the community and all the resources, including our helpline, onto the app. And our second product is a product called Mars Managed Remote Solutions. It basically is a remote workforce platform, and about 1,200 women who are certified as work-from-home professionals are now available to work via this platform for projects that can be done remote via Sheroes. And the third product is a product called She, which is actually a sexual harassment prevention and reporting product. And it's also available on a custom app that Sheroes has built that women can use to not only get help but also get education awareness. Companies can use that product to reach out to their employees and make sure they're compliant. They put adequate checks and balances in place to make sure nothing leaks out of the system before people have a chance to either speak, share, evaluate.
Speaking of sexual harassment, we decided to pass the mic on to Cindy Gallop, founder of Make Love Not Porn, which is a crowdsourced video sharing platform that celebrates real-world sex. Now, according to Cindy, sexual harassment at work is a depressing result of a male-dominated society.
One of the messages I champion is change the ratio as quickly as possible, get the numbers up. Because when you have a gender-equal workplace, work environment, board, leadership team, company, sexual harassment goes away. Because sexual harassment ends when there is no longer the male-dominated implicit bro endorsement that it's okay to behave like that. And it also ends when in a gender-equal workplace, men engage with women professionally on an equal standing all the time, as opposed to only seeing them in one of 2 roles, girlfriend or secretary.
The Silicon Valley has been extremely silent on it. So do you think we need to raise our voices? More people need to come forward when it comes to sexual harassment.
At the top of every industry, Silicon Valley included, is a closed loop of white guys talking to white guys about other white guys. Those white guys are sitting very pretty. They've got their huge salaries, their gigantic pools of stock options. Why would they ever want to rock the boat? They will close ranks to protect their own. The way things change is every woman and right-minded man calling out sexual harassment on a daily basis, taking micro-actions bottom up to change all of this. And it's also about starting our own businesses, creating our own financial ecosystem, women funding other women, so that we have the case studies that demonstrate to the old world order industry how very different we can do things in a way that will make even more money.
That's not the only thing that needs to change about the old world order industry. According to the Global Gender Report 2016 by the World Economic Forum, India ranks 87th in the economic participation and opportunity pillar, which means that we are far away from leveraging economic potential of women. Dig deeper and one would realize that maternity leaves and lack of childcare are one of the single largest reasons for most women to drop out from the workforce. Hoping to change that, our young Turk Priya Krishnan started up Clay, a quality childcare and schooling service provider.
I think the 20-year-old me felt I wanted 3 kids and a dog. The 30-year-old me said, actually, I can have the 3 kids and a dog and work. The 40-year-old me wants to help as many women say that all of that is possible at the same time, right? So I felt that I was a better mom because I worked. I was a saner mother because I worked. I could go to work and come back and then spend time with my kids. And I feel there are a lot of women out there and they are not able to get back to work for a lack of choice. And so I wrote the plan for Clay. And that's been my 6-year journey.
But let's move on from champions for women at work to champions of women in the court of law.
You all heard about the net neutrality debate, internet being taken away from us. How many of you heard about that? Guess who fought that case and won? There you go, Mishi. So thank you for doing that. And tell us about your story. I know you're a lawyer, you're based in New York, you work across 2 countries. I don't know how.
I have had no real plans. And I think because I was so foolish, nobody told me I can't do it. So I just went ahead and did foolish stuff. Sari's very generous with her comments. I didn't do that thing alone. There were a number of people. But it's fun when Mark Zuckerberg thinks that you are somebody who should be actually responded to. So what I try to do is bring a little bit of check and balance to the conversation by bringing the voice of what would be good for the society. And that does include a lot of work about how women think about these issues, because if code is what's going to determine, and code is law, and it's going to determine future, if that code does not think in a feminine voice, then that code will not work for anybody. So that's the work we are doing. Thank you.
So Vinati does what a lot of you read about in the Economic Times in the back end, So all those big companies buying each other, she makes all that stuff happen to begin with. But so Vinati, let me start with you. I know you went to law school and then never stopped.
The sort of upbringing that I had, it was inconceivable for a woman to even go out there and work. So the destiny that was actually predetermined was, at 17, you come out with the tray of chai and samosa and start looking for the suitable match. By 18, you get married. By 2021, you produce heirs for a family business, which actually my family didn't have. So I was supposed to get married into a family that had a sustainable business so that there's a good future for me and my children. When I was in class 5, I wrote an essay, and the topic was, what do you want to be? Most of the guys went with pilot. Most of the girls went with air hostesses or nurses. I was the only one who actually wrote, I want to be a lawyer. At 17, I did do the chai and samosa trays. I went through the drill of seeing a few boys, rejecting them on one ground or the other. And finally, my father had a heart-to-heart with me and said, do you really want to be a lawyer? And I said, yes, I do. So he said, if you want to be a lawyer, here's a law school that has just opened in India. It's new, and it has a competitive selection process. So you have to write an entrance exam. When my father said that to me, I think 99.9% he was convinced that I will not make it through the entrance exam. That's the level of confidence that they had in me. But so I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. I had already missed a year because I was doing my BCom. This was a post-class 12 course. But I said, I still want to give it a shot. And I was on the wait list when the results came out. By the time we called the law school, I was on the confirmed list. My father could not afford even the very subsidized fee at that time. And to my absolute surprise, the people who supported me and actually came together to pay for my education were my grandmothers. Because they said that, we want to actually live our life and dreams through her. So I was the first woman in my family to ever go out there and do something.
And Deepika Tiwari, head of marketing Tanishq, echoed this sentiment at the Bangalore leg of the Sheroes Summit when she spoke of her mother standing by her, helping her break through the web of patriarchy.
I always thought all my life that I was my daddy's little girl. But when I really reflect back, And some of the things that have happened in my life, I think it's because of her. I come from a good, solid Punjabi family, where girls get married at 18, or before that, at that time. She was the one who actually, I don't know what she did, I don't think she fought, but I think she stood firm. And I think standing firm is what I get from her, and decided that we should study. At least I should study. And then she stood firmer still and said I should study further. And I think there came a point in time where she thought I should even work. So I was the first working child in my family, technically. Some years ago, it wasn't easy being a woman in a workplace. These were some of the things that we were judged on. Have we slept our way to the top? We're a difficult woman. Are we bossy? Where are we wearing heels? Should we be professional? So a lot of opinions happened on us. In fact, when we launched Mia, the other thing that was being talked about is if you wear jewelry to work, you're a Christmas tree. And therefore, you're just bothered about dressing up, but not really coming to work. What I'm very, very glad with, and again something we've picked up in the social fabric of today's woman is this, that the war is over. The men are still fighting it. They're still making those comments. They're still having those biases. But I'm so proud that all the women sitting in this room, and more of them sitting outside this room, they're not fighting that war anymore. We are coping so good with it. They're still saying it, but we are recovering very fast. And we're saying, hello, we are really focused on our work. And I think we should keep going in it, because like the earlier generation gave it to us, I think we owe it to give it to the next generation.
Another change that will define the future of work is the millennial mindset. Sunil Rao, partner of business services Lightspeed, weighs in on how organizations, both big and small, need to transform to keep pace.
Almost 25% of the workforce by 2020 will be filled with millennials. And the million-dollar question out here is, are we as startups and are we as traditional companies, are we geared up to handle the aspirations and the expectations of a millennial? And if you frankly ask me, almost around 90% of the HR policies have to be rewritten to suit what the expectations of the millennials are going to look like.
Sunil, 3 things that you think people need to leave behind from a traditional work when you're moving to a startup.
I think you should be really open to the fact that you might be getting advices and ideas from people who are 21-year-old, and you should be flexible enough and open enough to that cultural shock. So you should always come there with an open mind. Secondly, I think it's very, very important to understand that if you should be able to wear multiple hats simultaneously. You can't just be one engineering specialist or a product specialist or a design specialist. When you're a senior up in the organization, you should be able to wear multiple hats. And third and the most important thing is, if you know if things are not working out, you should be smart enough to pivot it and go to the next idea. You should never be emotionally wedded to one particular idea if you clearly know that you have tried out everything under the sun and it's not working out for you.
On the other side, we bring you all the action from Sheroes Mumbai Summit. Don't go anywhere.
Over the past 4 years, we have had about 890 companies apply, of which we have selected 22 Indian startups whom we have soft landed in Toronto. And this being the 5th year, we are trying to introduce a new addition to the competition. So over and above the 5 Indian startups that we would take to Canada, this year we are introducing the Aditya Jha India Entrepreneur Award of the Year. So under this one startup, which is high impact but also in the social space, we are going to award him or her with a cash grant of rupees 5 lakhs.
Celebrating 16 years of Young Turks.